Good morning everyone. This is our daily commute. Not quite what we're used to. It's about 7 AM and I've got a high tide, so I've got to work with the tyres now to make sure that I can get down to the boat easily and get the boat back and onto its trailer before the tide gets too low, because the little boat ramp we use is not very usable at low tide. It's okay, but I can use it, but it's not ideal. So I'm starting early, finishing early, or starting late, finishing late. And yeah, she's sitting on the water down here, lots of detail work to come. And yep, it's a very, very different world for Roscoe, I'm telling you. It's, you can see the boat right there. She's there, sitting on a mooring, and we've got a beautiful location down here. Sorry, I'm just trying to steer while I'm talking. And I'm not quite used to that. It's been a long time since I've been back and forth on boats. So pretty happy to be here, and God knows what the sound's gonna be like on this, but anyway, we'll just have to work with it for now. Down on the boat I've got a lot of little things to do. I've got a lot of leaks from stuff that just quite frankly wasn't finished before we launched. We ran out of time, as was always going to be the way, and things like just tacking in some port lights on the back of the cockpit. I found water running into the back bedroom the other day. We had a massive rain event, and guess what? Water leaking down into my engine room and out of the build. So not that happy. It was only a drip, but it was enough to really annoy me. Alright, up here on the hard top, what I'm trying to do is get a conduit run from here to here. So I've hole sawed through the roof underneath the mounties, so that I can bring the wires through here, up, along and along to the light, and on the other end a compass and a light and some instruments. So I've got this hole drilled here. The only problem is to come from the hatch below, I've just broken through the top here, so I've got to drill on an angle here, and that's proving to be a little bit more challenging than one would like to be. So what I'm doing is coming up through here, and I've got to somehow get to here, so I need something very, very long and flexible to drill to get all the way through. But I'll drill the hole and see if I can work my way through with a drill, and then hopefully punch through. And I don't need much, I just need someone to run that wire through. I'm not going to put a conduit in it. I think I've got it without doing any more damage. It's easy enough fix, but just trying to get enough room to run a couple of wires. You can see light. Come on. Alright, got to be close. So let's get this in as far as possible. Right, I've broken through without doing too much damage. Gotta be careful I don't damage all this, but there is a rather large base plate. I have actually chipped it here, but I'm through. If I can clean it out, there's enough room to run 3 or 4 wires through it. That's all I need. Well, it's so important before I even attempt to put on the hard top that's going to replace this sagging cardboard piece of crap, that I put in some pull wires. Now I've already put in a number of draw wires or messenger wires through the hard top itself, but getting it down through this pole, you can see it here, out through this hatch, through this one, and into the actual cabin itself is going to be a little bit of a challenge. But if I put it in now, that means I can lock this upright down, lock this upright down, then I can start to consider putting on the hard top. And I'm going to need a few guys to lift that up here, because it's a little bit too much for Janet and I to do on our own, and I don't want to damage it. So very important to get 3 or 4 blokes to help me just get it up here, sit it in place. Once these 2 uprights are done, I'm ready to go. I've almost finished all of my floor access hatches except for the two over my fuel tank breather vents, and they are just under here. Now I've just cut this one out yesterday, the patches there, and then what I've got to do is I've actually glued in a rebate underneath, and I'm actually trimming around the outside so that I can put in my timber frame and surround and then put the hatch back in again. So there's a little bit of work involved in this. You've got to glue the part in underneath to form the basis for something to sit on, and then rebate out the whole thing with a grinder and an oscillating tool, and then I've got to chisel it out and sand it out, all while trying not to lose anything down in the hole. I don't want anything going under that fuel tank there, because I'm never going to see it again unless I drill a hole in the bottom of the boat and drain it out. Small stuff I can handle because it'll ultimately end up in the bilge, but we don't want anything getting down in there. So I've got a vacuum going. I'm being super cautious about any foam or anything getting down there. I don't want the limber holes to be blocked up either. And then we'll go down on the starboard side here. I've got another one here. So obviously the fuel tank on each side is 270 litres. So I've got 540 litres of diesel. The breather is there, so I needed a hatch directly above it. And obviously to facilitate a lot of my plumbing, which has to go around back to the engine room, is very important as well. But the key with this is once the rebate's in place like this is actually glued in, I then need to trim it back so that I can allow for a frame, and then allow for a frame around the actual hatch as well, such as what I've done over there. So I usually go 2.5 centimetres or an inch back from the edge of the rebate to give it plenty of footing, and then trim that back, and then I can go and make my frames and get them all done like so. My uprights for the helm station hardtop. Now these are actually an adjustable mount. I have actually noticed though, if I put a bit of weight on it, it could potentially move. So I'm going to tack weld it together. And if I can weld just where that black line is there together, it'll stop it ever moving. And it's already totally sealed, so I don't need to worry about rust or anything. But I do want to make sure that I get the actual adjustability to disappear so that it will be as a permanent strut. Basically, you just got to TIG it together, just put a couple of tacks in it and then polish it down. And then I can do the other main upright, and then we can mount them properly on the roof and then load the hardtop that I spent couple of weeks doing a couple of weeks ago. So this is all done. I actually added on here, I've now glued down these hatches here. They're now Sikaflexed in, so they're nice and sealed. And I've got all of my draw wires ready, and yesterday I fed the draw wire right through into the cabin. So basically I can run wires all the way through this whole hardtop assembly now pretty easily. So I'll get my welder out. I've just got a bottle of argon, and I'm going to TIG this together. I've done a couple yesterday, and I'll finish this one now and get it back in place. One of our viewers has offered to make our chain plates for us. He's got a guy with a CNC and obviously a laser cutter or a water jet or something to make our chain plates. So I've got to make some templates up for the port and starboard main chain plates at the rear of the boat. Obviously they're going to take the main shroud, but also I need to consider right up on the front of the Seagull striker the chain plates for those as well, and the forestay chain plates. So I've come up with a bit of a process here. So I've made some parts here, and I intend to send these up to John. Need to make some base plates and some tangs for the forward bridle or the forward Seagull striker, and that's going to look like this guy here. So there'll be one of these on each side on the forebeam, but this guy here is my main forestay chain plate, and I've bought a 316 20mm threaded rod, which I intend to mount to the forestay like so, and that will go all the way through the boat. And this is going to sit through the boat in the anchor roller. So I've got the anchor roller here, and I intend to have this around about there, actually with the rod through the anchor roller, thereby making this the base plate. Now this needs to be removable obviously, so the rod will go all the way through the boat, and on the back side I'll have a similar plate that can hold the threaded rod, and then I'll have the nuts backing up behind it. It's all a little bit complicated, but it certainly is doable at this stage. Right, so up on the bow here, so we're going to have our seagull striker here and come down the diagonal down to this chain plate here. That'll actually be bolted through the forebeam and a base plate on the other side as well, with some 240mm M16 stainless bolts. And the chain plate will come up here with that threaded rod straight down through it, and then the chain, it'll actually be more centered, so it'll be right in the center there and essentially go all the way through the boat and be backed up by a 100mm square plate on the back or on the underside there. And then also I need another 2 base plates to match these guys here. So these Seagull Striker plates here, they need a hole here and here and a large bolt all the way through, so there's plenty to do here. And here's the end of a couple of hours work basically to get all these parts made. They're made of a 10mm sort of a PVC board, I guess you'd call it. I've made them so that hopefully Johnny can just scan them, and then, you know, maybe have to tidy them up a little bit, particularly the radiuses around the base plates here. But I've got quite a lot to do. Asked him if he can make them up for me, and he has actually offered to do them, and hopefully we can get them done reasonably quickly so that I can put them on prior to launch. I really don't want to be sitting in the tender trying to put these long bolts through. That could be a bit of a challenge, but anyway, we'll get them done and we'll see how we go. Had my bid yesterday afternoon, spent all afternoon welding and polishing the handrail and the footrail for our helm station, and also the supports for our hardtop. Got those all welded up. Welding wasn't great, but I'm a good polisher, I'm a shitty welder, but that's just the way it is. But then Janet came in, she goes, you know, you haven't flow coated the roof of the forward port cabin wardrobe. So she's been in here yesterday afternoon and she's coming up in a moment, but we're going to texture flow coat the ceiling of this robe, and as you can see, she's masked it all out because I've got some beautiful white surfaces in there. I don't want to get flow coat all over it. We did actually raptor all of these, and I've actually since discovered that a textured roller and some flow coat actually is a beautiful finish, and it's a lot easier to service and it's a lot easier to patch should we ever damage it. So I'm going to do up in there. I'm not going to film it because it's one of those things that just, you know, how much flow coating can you see? But at the end of the day, it's going to make it so much brighter in there, and we intend to either line the walls of this robe or put some marine carpet on it. We're not really sure what to do yet. We like the idea of the carpet, but a bit concerned about the moisture it might hold, or might actually stop the moisture. That is foam core on the walls, so it's very well insulated already, and I'll be very surprised if I got condensation on it. But anyway, it's all masked up. She's done a great job masking. I'll just put some weights down there to hold it in place because it's a bit windy today, and I'm going to get into it with the roller. I've had a few comments about our footrest on our helm station, and basically I've put this in as a bit of a safety bar to stop the helm being bumped or whatever, but it also acts as a secondary footrest. I will put another one in the bottom of the helm seat itself, but I've just fabricated a support bar here which is actually going to be welded in place. I'll go up and TIG weld that in a moment. I'm going to have to tack it up in the factory. I can't bring my welder up here today, it's way too windy to get any shielding, but I'm going to basically just put a couple of tacks in here, and then that'll be secured there, and then I intend to get some sort of a step that drops down here on the helm seat. But it's all starting to come together and it's looking really good. Now the other beautiful thing about this is it's going to act as a handrail for pulling yourself up onto the helm as well, and obviously up and down, so really a good little addition there. And while I've got the welder out and I'm just about out of argon, so I'm hoping I can just nip that one down and get it done before I have to go and get another bottle. I haven't really got a lot more to do. I've got a couple of other small lifeline details to do, and after that I'm pretty much done. So that's going to be such a great thing to have all of that part done, and then I can get on to the chain plates and all the other stuff I need to do. But yeah, that's looking really, really superb. Now inside here, Janet's been polishing out the robes, and the other thing is I've actually got some floor hatches done today and a little bit of flow coating, and it's been an absolutely putrid day today, just totally blowing a gale and awful weather, and it's a good day to just get onto these smaller jobs or get them done, and then I can move forward. And we're basically 62 days out from launch. I'm going to let that out of the bag right now. That's about as good as I can get it. It's a very tight weld in there. I'm just going to leave the weld and leave it as it is. But this one here is absolutely perfect. What a job. It's taken me a good hour or so just to weld that, and then probably another half hour of polishing. But yeah, it's come up all right. There's a couple of little divots there, but you know, I'm pretty happy with that. And I'll give it a good wipe with acetone to remove the wax, and then go and install it on the boat. And the good thing about that support is it's not actually going to cause a trip hazard. I could have put one straight down, but I've decided to put it sideways, and yeah, that's actually brilliant. That's going to really give us a good handhold for climbing up, and a good footrest for the helm. I just came up from welding, and the place smells fantastic. It smells like polish. Someone's doing some polishing. I thought you weren't going to do any polishing, Darren.
I just finished.
What have you been doing?
I've been polishing the insides of the cupboards.
Oh wow, they look so good. So they're going to have a timber fiddle on them. Yeah. So now they're all, they're beautiful and clean. They're going to have a nice timber fiddle on the front. That'll be pretty simple. Cool, great job. Yeah. Well done. You've done the back one as well? Alright, so we've also done the stern cabin. All these roads are now polished out, so we can tick that off the list. I think you probably should write that down somewhere, because you came in this morning, what'd you say? I've forgotten what I've done.
Yeah. Which is why I'm going room by room now.
Yeah, room by room. I think
so
that's
that
it.
Room, this room, I've done the pantry, and I've got to do those 2 rooms.
So we're just onto the port side, and that's it.
Yeah. Oh, just smell.
Oh, it smells amazing. It smells clean. Beautiful. And Janet's sanded them out so they're nice and smooth too. There's no dags, no sharps in there, which is really good.
Every time I do it, I find another one. But
yep. No, that's great. That's really good. Well done. Cool. Down in here. Where are you? You're still in here. Oh, you're not in here. Where are you?
On my knees again.
I love it. Means I don't have to be. What's going on here?
I'm taping up the wires because you missed a shelf. It's always Russ's fault.
Yeah, that's a bugger of a shelf, that one, because it's a main conduit run for our wiring. So you're doing a great job there. Yeah, that's
and then
cool.
I'll paint that, and I'll do the other side as well.
Might want to tape those ones up. Tape them up onto the cupboard here. So, give me that look again. Give me that look.
Like the look of disbelief, like as if I'm not going to. Oh dear! I don't know if they have the phrase in America about "Don't teach me how to suck eggs." I mean, 2 years ago maybe, but not now, not anymore.
One thing that's happened here is Janet's actually become quite good at everything she does, and I'm still thinking that I'm teaching Janet, and I'm not teaching Janet because...
Yeah, you are. I'm still in the basics, but this is very basic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just want to make sure it's all perfect. And
I know where it comes from.
I'm just a quality control checker. Because my quality hasn't been that good.
Yes, it has. It's been awesome.
Alright, so yesterday morning I I gel coated, to clarify that, the robe ceiling up here in the forward port cabin, and that went well. And luckily Janet had done some good masking, because look at it, it's everywhere. And when you're rolling spray gel coat, it is very messy. It's so thin, there's no way it's going to adhere, and there's a lot of flicks everywhere. Now the next part is I'm going to use my textured roller, and I'm going to get it in there, and I'm going to brush it, and then I'm going to roll it with the textured roller just to give that fine textured finish that I'm after in there, and that'll be a serviceable wipe down clean as a whistle finish, no headliner in the wardrobe. There's no point. If any condensation builds up, it's just going to simply wipe off, and any mold will clean off nice and simply with that waxed finish. And we will polish the ceiling in there like we're going to polish all these walls as well before we launch the boat, to make sure that everything is basically sealed and ready for years and years and years of use. When you're using a textured roller, you get covered in it, especially when it's overhead. Look at this. Absolutely covered in it. I'm like a speckled flow coat machine, and yuck, it's everywhere. That's now done. Look at the bloody walls covered in it. It's like a pro heart painting in here. Now that texture's done, that's all flow coated, and basically I can just leave that to set now, and I'll rip out that masking tape a bit later on and reveal the whole thing. Now up in there, that's actually a base for the stanchion. I still need to glass that in. I'd forgotten about it, but I was too far in to stop, so I'll have to retrospectively fix that, glass that, and then texture roller over the top. But that all can be done pretty simply. But yeah, that's going to look great, and then we'll line the walls, and that robe will be finished without the door. Alright, I've just finished the last of the floor hatches, and that's here on the fuel vent, and I've just been down there sanding these down. So Janet's coming up this afternoon. I'll get her to dress these and give them a clear coat. So I just thought I'd test fit it before I complete it, and start to deal with this edge here. This is going to need to be filled and then glassed from there to there. So there's a little bit of work to do here to reinforce these now. And what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to put a screw, stainless screw, through here into the below foam, so that it also has a screw or a mechanical bond as well as a chemical bond to the bottom foam, because there's a lot of body weight going to go down onto this, and we don't want this delaminating. I can't envisage it, but it could happen. So yeah, they look great actually. And these will all have a ring pull on them, so I can lift them up. And obviously the flooring is going to butt up to this, and then I'll fill in the inside as well. But I need to do the outside and correspondingly match the flooring here to match the planking, because it is actually planking that I'm putting in here. I intend to use the excess bit to do the actual floor hatch as well, but they look great.